marriage of the same. Welcome back to On the Record, a podcast where we dive deep into the issues that matter most in our community. I'm your host, Ebony McMorris, White House correspondent for American Urban Radio Network. And today, we've got a special guest joining us, a distinguished jurist, a passionate advocate for social justice, respected voice in the legal and political arena. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Judge Alexander Williams Jr. to the show. Judge, thank you so much for coming on.
Ms. McManus, it's a pleasure to have me here today, Mr. Morris. Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. Now, you recently launched the Judge Alexander Williams Jr. Center for Education, Justice, and Ethics in Baltimore office, along with a Community Invested Violence Intervention Collaborative Baltimore initiative. These are ambitious projects aimed at addressing some of the most pressing issues in our community. Start off by telling us just a bit about these initiatives and what inspired you to create them.
Yes, thank you, Ms. McMorris. As you know, I have served almost 20 years as a judge, and I enjoyed my role as a federal judge, had a lifetime appointment, but there was just something missing in terms of my passion for disparities and criminal justice reform. So I left the bench in 2014 and opened up the Judge Alexander Williams Jr. Center for Education, Justice, and Ethics, and we deal with social justice kind of things, trying to enhance the status of young people and also people who are crippled because of, again, disparities. We've had reentry programs, we've had programs dealing with health disparities, and we really focus on juveniles and young people to have diversionary programs so that they will build leadership skills in them. We've done well in College Park, where we're located, but we recently were asked to come to the new renovated Thurgood Marshall Amenity Center in Baltimore, in West Baltimore. And so we are moving in actually in a couple of weeks. And we're going to have some very exciting initiatives there. We're going to have, again, a juvenile diversion program where we're going to be working with the school system, the courts, a police department, and other people that address juveniles, trying to move them away from detention and talk about restorative justice so that they can build leadership skills in it. We also are going to have a health disparities program where we have a doctor, Stephen Thomas, from the health department and school at University of Maryland. He's going to be working with the stylists, the beauticians, the barbers, in training them to take vitals and also to focus wellness as a focus to their clients and so forth. And then finally, we're going to have I call it a professional research on violence and how it affects victims and families and that sort of thing. So we're getting started on this. And the one thing I want to make sure is that from time to time, we put on fire chat and other kinds of programs where the young people can be reminded of the rich history of West Baltimore and that the community where you had like Juanita Mitchell, you had her husband, Mitchell, and you had Thurgood Marshall and so many other legends that came from West Baltimore. So we're moving in, as I said, the first part of October, and the community has really warmed up to us. They're excited about our presence, and we're going to do some, I think, positive things in West Baltimore.
I love everything you said because this talks about the whole person, right? Not just addressing what someone did, but gets to the root of it. And, you know, you've sat on the bench and you see many cases come before you. And I'm sure because you are launching this program in West Baltimore, that your heart must really ache at what you're seeing in some communities. And sometimes when we talk about crime in our communities or juveniles in our committee, what is it that we're missing that we are not addressing that you think that you see?
Yeah, Mr. McMorris, I'm glad you hit that point. On the bench, as a federal judge, I was hemmed in by what they call guideline sentences, and I could not take into consideration some of the social determinants that cause and contribute to young people being where they are. And so I wasn't happy about that aspect, having to sentence people to these mandatory sentences. So I've gotten out now and I'm addressing these issues that affect young people. We've got to take into consideration family structure, the neighborhood that they're in. We've got to look at, again, the job situation for their families and so many other factors that nobody looks at or nobody addresses that determine whether folks are going to stay out of trouble or they're going to get involved in what they see in their environment. So that's what we call social determinants. I'm very interested in addressing those, and the courts have not really looked at that. Neither have the legislatures enough.
That right there, that part is so true. I love the fact that you're even looking at doing some research and study into it, because we don't really see numbers that really, to me, go into depth enough to talk about what some of the solutions are. No, this is a new office, but like, as you mentioned before, you started this in 2014. Can you talk about some of the success or any examples that you can give about how this program has changed the lives of youth?
Yeah, good point. We have one of our signature programs is a boot camp, and we bus three different high schools in Baltimore and a few in Prince George's County. We bring them once a year to the University of Maryland at College Park. And we have all types of discussions and seminars, and we have experts and volunteers, and they talk about issues such as gun violence and healthy initiatives and climate control and racism and know your rights. And I can tell you right now, if you go on our website, you'll see some of our videos. But these young people are so excited. They said that this is one of the best programs they've ever seen. And many of them have already said they've changed their lives to focus more on the leadership skills that they have. So that's one area that clearly I've seen the difference. And we, of course, also deal with the reentry. People who have paid their dues and they come back, and we've put on a couple of seminars so that people understand the barriers imposed on them, and we're trying our best to address them. They can't vote, they can't get community grants for school. It's a number of things, so we are working, and we have a lot of positive reaction from people about what we're doing in College Park and what we're going to be doing in Baltimore very shortly.
I think that is so important what you just said, because as much as people always want to say, we need kids to do this or young people to do this, and when they enter out, if there's nothing available, then it's a no-brainer of why you see people kind of going back to some of the same behaviors. Even when it comes down in some states where people aren't able to vote, aren't able to even advocate for themselves for certain different crimes. I want to ask you, Judge, your commitment to the welfare of children and youth and underserved communities is truly really commendable. The civic initiative in particular seems to be a really multifaceted approach to tackling gun violence and promoting social justice. Can you talk about that? And in addition to that, are you teaching them like how government works, how things operate, how they can better advocate for themselves?
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And as you know, they used to teach civics in school. They don't have that anymore. And so many people don't know anything about their government, about their state and local people who serve and the courts as to what their role is and that sort of thing. And so I'm out here right now trying to talk to them about civics and engagement and what they can do to change their own communities and that sort of thing. And you have to make sure that they know who their government officials are, who their elected officials are. It's about knowledge and some type of incentive we've got to put into them to learn and know where they come from and know what the government can do or cannot do for them.
Let's talk on that because it's not just the kids that need to know. Judge, everyday people are putting stuff in the wrong pot, blaming this person, and it really should be in this pot. Thinking some things are federal that are actually state and local issues. Talk about the role of judges and why this is important. I say that because in this election, really, I think we have been talking about the role of judges more, or people have been realizing the role of judges more than anything. So when we talk about the power of judges in our communities, what would you say to people civically on this issue?
Sure, and that's a real big problem, not just in Maryland and the District of Columbia and other places. People just don't take the time to understand the role of elected officials and judges and so forth. And only when it affects our family or neighbor do we start asking questions and get involved. It's just apathy, and we've got to address that. The importance of judges in some states where, in like Maryland, where you elected, you need to make sure that you're focused on people who have experience, people who have compassion, people who understand the nature of fairness and justice. And we've got to get educated. When somebody's name is on a ballot, we have to know who they are. What have they done? And the whole idea of the judiciary affects so many people. We don't seem to understand that. Everyday problems, neighborhood fights. If you get injured in an automobile accident, criminal cases, all of these things are decided and resolved in the courts. And it's very important that we know something about the persons that we are giving this power to make these decisions that affect our lives. I fortunately was on the federal system, and I was appointed, and then had to go through a nomination process, but I was on there for life. In most states, judges are initially appointed, but then they run for office. I like that system better because again, it gives the citizens an opportunity to get involved. Now, it's a big debate right now. I don't like the idea of judges having to run like politicians. That can be dangerous, but there has to be some process put in place where judges can be that have to cater at least to the interests of citizens. So perhaps there's a combination system of both elections and appointments.
I think that's crucial because there is this big question about how to reform the courts. It's a very important topic. I actually would love to have you come back and we can talk about that. Concerning your program, as we come to an end, how do you plan to engage with leaders and organizations to ensure the success of this initiative?
Sure. And it's very important that my center, particularly in our move to Baltimore, that we engage not just with public officials who represent that community, but also with the citizens themselves and the schools and young people. And we hope to have a number of programs that will give them information to inform them as some of the critical issues that they should know. As I said, I'm going to put on a number of chats, fireside chats, where we invite leaders and experts to come in and talk to young people and let them know this is what you can do. Here's your responsibility. And hopefully they'll listen and pay attention and then make a difference in their own communities.
Lastly, Judge, why did you choose West Baltimore area, and what is the long-term impact that you kind of mapped out that you want to see happen?
Yeah. West Baltimore, the Upton community, has been ignored for so many years. You've had urban renewal and other rehab and other developments throughout the city, but that particular community has been denied and neglected. And West Baltimore is a historic place where some of the greats, like Thurgood Marshall, grew up and came from that area and made a difference throughout the nation. Like, again, Mitchell, who was the great lobbyist downtown, and his wife, Juanita, the first Black woman attorney. But West Baltimore is the place where we're going to be set up. The school PS 103 is the renovated elementary school that Thurgood Marshall, who lived right down the street, with the elementary school. So it's right in the hub of West Baltimore. A lot of poverty. It's been some crime there, but we hope to renovate and enlive that particular area through the programs that we're going to have in West Baltimore.
Judge, where can people go if they want to get information about it, if they want to support the program, if they want to connect with you in any kind of way?
Yes, we have a website, Judge Alexander Williams Jr. Center for Education, Justice, and Ethics. It's at the University of Maryland. It'll pop right up as soon as you put the Judge Alexander Williams Jr. Center, and you can get a lot of information about our programs, our people who we work with, and how to get involved.
Judge Alexander Williams Jr., thank you so much for coming on American Urban Radio Network. We absolutely hope to have you back on to give us an update on how the program is going.
Thank you.